Can you?
I really don't remember ever having a marriage at the church. Now not saying that they didn't have one, but I don't recall one. People just got married. They didn't go for church weddings, as far as I know.
What about funeral services?
Well, funeral services, they haven't been too major changes made in funeral services. Like I told you, my dad was a mortician. He worked for, at the time, he worked for, was a lady mortician in South Spring by the name of Jewel Spencer. My dad that's who he was working for when he take sick. But funerals, they're just regular funerals. Nothing. I have noticed no drastic changes in the way they conduct the funeral today than they did back then.
How did people get to the church back then? Cars, wagons?
Well, you can just about, back in the early days, you can leave the cars out. I remember when we was talking about when it was but 5 cars in this community. And probably 2 of them wasn't running. People walked to church and came to church in wagons. On the south side of the road there, that's where we parked your wagon. I either go across the road or park over down. But there were no cars in this community. Back in the early 30s, cars came into this after the war, to be honest with you. And when the boys came out of service, started buying cars. I bought a car when I was 16 years old, and I was the only boy around here that I know of that had a car.
Now, how were you able to get a car and the others weren't?
I asked myself that same question. When I was 10 years old when my dad passed. He had 6 boys and 1 girl. 2 girls. But Ruth wasn't at home at the time. Anyway, my dad gave all of us a little bank account. And we had to put money into that bank account. When I went to high school, I was going to Douglas. This was during the war. I was like a little girl lived on the west side of town. I'd walk her home every evening. And it was a 30 Model A, if you know what a 30 Model A looked like. Where the man's son owned it, and he was in service. And I just stopped, I looked at it, and he had noticed me looking at it. One day he walked out there and asked me if I was interested in buying it. I said, yeah. He told me, his son owned it, so he wants to sell it. He wanted $150 for it. So I came home that night, didn't sleep, I don't think, but the next day I bought the car. First check I ever wrote. That's the first check I ever wrote, I bought a car. Had never wrote a check, had never paid no attention to nobody writing a check. Didn't know how to be honest, didn't know how to write a check. I know you had to write your figure in number, but I didn't know you had to write it in writing. And the banker had to tell me how to write the 150, had to fill out the check. Well, my granddaddy, my mother's dad, had a 30 Model A, and I'd been driving it. So when I came home in that car, my mother thought I was in her daddy's car, so she didn't pay no attention till all the little kids in the neighborhood over in the yard looking and look. She wanted to finally, she said, "What's going on out here?" And she came up. My granddaddy's little car had red wheels on it. The one I bought had yellow wheels, and she finally noticed that. And she found out that I had bought a car. She was going to make me take it back. I was underage, didn't have her permission. But my auntie, which was my daddy's sister that lived, she actually said, "Well, whose money did he use?" She said, "He used his money." She said, "Well, if he want to spend his money on the car, let him spend it." So that's how I bought that car. I was 16 and didn't stay here a year after I bought it. I went to Fort Worth and left the car here with them. But the first check I ever wrote, I bought a car. I didn't write too many more after that because I was broke.
Well, I'm sure that made a big difference in your life. Now you had a car, and then you could do a lot of things you couldn't have done without a car.
Yeah, I was talking to I was up to my eye doctor, about 2 months ago now. A lady came in, well, she's a lady now. She was a girl then. I didn't even recognize her. She recognized me. And she was laughing, telling me about that little blue car that you used to drive. She said, "Bernard, you was the only somebody at school had a car." Yeah. Oh, I've had a full life. I have no regrets. I went to Fort Worth. I got me a job, which it was a blue-collar job, but I worked at the packing house, which was labor, but it paid good. And you got, the way I figured, you got to bring something to the table as far as being qualified to do something. Now, if you're not qualified to do something, no point in trying to do it. I didn't really prepare myself for college when I was in high school. I was a good hardwood basketball player. Through here, I was a good basketball player, and I had better than average speed. I ran track. So I spent my time on the basketball court, running track, while the girls done my homework. Well, I knew that. So I had scholarship to every little black college around here offered to me. But I had prepared myself, and I knew it. So I didn't even enroll. I just made up my mind that I was going to muscle it out, and that's what I done. I went to work for Armor. I retired at the age of 52 with 33 years of service.
Well, that was a commendable record of work.
Yeah. And I retired. I put in 15 years in Fort Worth. While I was there, I taken up a class being in quality control. And they paid me to go to school. I taken that. They transferred me to Omaha, Nebraska. Back then, the Army had government contracts. And my responsibility was to see to it the meat was packed right, everything right, frozen, shipped it right, everything like that. And that lasted